you can actually put in a search term. So you might be looking for a sunset photo, sunset in a particular month with a particular person. You put those terms in, it'll bring it up. Hi, it's Paul Antonelli here. Today I'm going to talk about something that's a really powerful tool, really obvious powerful tool, but I'm not sure, you might not be aware of it, so I thought I'd take a few minutes to sort of explain it and share it for you, help you explore it. If you're in a business or even in your personal life, you take heaps of photos, we all do it. We've got a photo attached in our hand pretty much all the time, and we're just snapping pics all the time. And I don't know about you, but whenever I remember I was traveling around Australia last year, when I spent 12 months, you just take photos all over the place, obviously. And when you're doing that, you just got heaps of photos, and then in conversation something pops up and you want to pull up a photo, and more times than not, you just can't find the photo, or it just takes ages, and it just breaks up totally the communication flow. And then you might come back, often, you're in the communication, and then you'll sort of, a bit later, you're thinking about it, and you go, oh, I found the photo, and that could have been like, 20 minutes later, the next day. It's just ridiculous. So what's happened now is that we can create so many photos on this device, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, and we're snapping pics all the time, which is great, but when you actually need it, it can be really difficult to find. The solution, you put things into albums. I'll sort that, and I'll do this, and I'll mark that as favourite. But that just takes more time. It makes no sense, because then you're going to spend time organising photos. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't have the time to sit around organising photos. And back in the day, it's what you used to do. We always used to create albums, and go for travelling, then you create an album, and you do something like that. There is a really cool solution, and it's called Google Photos. We obviously use the Google platform across all our different businesses, and what we do, we use it personally. And Google Photos, if you haven't used it, you should check it out. It's a very cool, very, very cool tool. And how does it work? So Google Photos is a place to stick your photos, obviously. All you need is a Gmail account, and it's free. It's totally free. So once you've got a Gmail account, automatically attached to that Gmail account is a Google Photos account. So you don't have to go and set up a separate account. It just comes. And the beautiful thing about it, as with most things nowadays, is it's everywhere. So you log in on your laptop, there's your Google Photos, and you can you download the app. There's a Google Photos app, of course there is, and that app you can put on your iPad, your phone, different devices, anywhere you like. As soon as you've logged in, I've got a few different Gmail accounts, so I have a few different Google Photo accounts. And so you can create, for example, you might have a Gmail account that's linked to your business, and then you can create a Google Photos. You don't have to create it, it'll automatically be there, okay? The first thing is to sort of suss it out and get hold of it. And why do I love Google Photos so much? Look, I'm an iPhone guy, I love iPhones, and Apple Photos, we have them, it's on the device. I just find finding things on Apple Photos is nowhere near as easy as finding photos in Google Photos. It's just a fact. And the reason is that obviously Google has some pretty amazing search capacity and capability in their search engines. That's what they do exceptionally well. And when I first discovered the power of how easy it is to find things, it's pretty cool. It's very, very cool. And the way you set it up, you get Google Photos, you download it, you set it up. The trick is there's an option when you set it up to say, do you want to maintain high quality photos? And don't tick that option. So it's important you don't tick that option, because if you do that, then it will actually, it's limited and you'll use up the data, and then you'll have to pay for more data. If you tick the reduce the size, then you're unlimited. You can have as many photos as you like. There's no limit. And what it does is, it reduces the size down to still high quality enough for us to do everything we need to do with it, but it reduces the size down. And because if you pick that option, then there's no limit to it, and it's totally free, which is an important thing to be aware of. So you set it up, it's really easy, download it, you get it on your phone, and then you just basically have auto sync. So every time you take a photo, whenever and you can do it, on mobile data. You can do it when you're at home on your Wi-Fi, whatever. It can just sync, and it just automatically uploads these photos. So it's a great backup for photos. Of course, nothing should be on any of these things that if we lost the thing, we lose data, or we lose photos, or we lose. It should never be like that. So when you think about these things, they're just simply devices, and everything should be somewhere else up in the cloud. That's just how it should work. Now, the cool thing about it that I really love is the fact that you can find photos so easily. When you get Google Photos and you set it up, you just upload. It'll obviously pull all your photos up. It might take a bit of time the first time you set it up because it has to suck in all the photos. But once they get sucked in, it sort of brings in all the metadata, which is the information associated with that image. So often there's a GPS location, and there's other date. There's other information that's attached to the photo. It's not just a photo, not just an image. So it pulls in all that data, and then you can search, which is really cool. So with Google Photos, there's no need. You can create albums, so you might have an album which you go, I want to be able to see all my car photos, or diving photos, or exercise, or whatever you're passionate about. You might want to create an album, which you can do, and add photos to that. You don't need to, because you can search photos really easily. And when you go into the search bar to look for a photo, you can put a number of words, and it will find the match. So an example is, it's really simple. Let's say there's a person, they were doing something, they were riding a red bike, and they were near a river. Yeah. So you can actually type in the person's name, John, red bike, river. Just put those terms in, and it'll bring up every photo that has all those things in it, which is insane when you think about it. So you might have 20,000 photos, and it'll find every photo. And even if the photo, like if the person is in a room with 20 people, it'll find that person's face out of the 20. It'll find if there's a bike that's just the corner of a wheel sticking out and it's red, it'll pull it up. And so it's pretty amazing. So you can search for all sorts. So you can put in multiple people. So often, and the way it works, it's really powerful because it works. If you're trying to find a photo, you can actually put in a search term. So you might be looking for a sunset photo, sunset in a particular month with a particular person. You put those terms in, it'll bring it up. The other thing that's a bit scary, it is very, very scary, is that, and I often do this, my son Dante, he's 20 this year, and if I search him, we've got photos from him obviously when he came around, and so if I go into Google Photos and search for him, it'll find every photo that I've taken of him that's been uploaded. And the first photo is when he's, I think it's about 7 or 8 weeks old, in a little bouncer. So it just looks like a baby, right? But it'll pull that photo up. And every photo from that point of his life to now will get pulled up. So it sort of means that we don't really change that much. Obviously the facial structure, I'm not sure how it does that, because I haven't tagged. There's no need to. With the Google Photos, you can sort of tells you, are these that person? So you go through this process of identifying people by picking maybe half a dozen or 10 photos, and then once it's got that data, it's a bit like facial recognition, then it'll just find the photos. And so you can find, photos going back 15 years of the same person, which is pretty insane when you think about it. So it'll actually be able to find any photo you like, and it's individuals, and then you can put terms like sunrise, sunset, moon, river, flowing creek, camping, four-wheel driving, anything that describes the photo you're looking for, and it'll find it, and all those photos associated with it. It's so cool. It's such a great tool. And so if you're in business and you're creating content, you've taken lots of photos, and someone says, it'd be really good to have some photos from that trip, or it'd be really good to have some photos from that conference, or this, or whatever you're doing. And often you go, and you start looking for it, and you do the hunting scroll. So you're on your phone, you're scrolling through, and then you go, I just can't find it, it's just too hard. Anyway, it was a really good thing. It was a great photo. We had a great time. So it sort of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? If you're taking all these photos, but you can't find a photo when you want to show it to someone, or talk about it, or illustrate something, then it really defeats the purpose of taking the photo. And the more photos you take, the harder it is. I love it. I really, when I sort of talk to people about it and they do that and they go, oh, I want to show you a photo. It happens all the time. And then they start doing the big scroll thing on the phone. I always say, have you ever used Google Photos? And I go, yeah, I've heard of it, but it doesn't do this or it doesn't do that. I said, well, check it out, and I might just take a few minutes to share that. So look, I'd really recommend it. Give it a go. It's free. It's unlimited storage. Backs up all your photos, and it has incredible search capacity. The other really cool thing that it does is that because it geolocates, you can bring up Google Maps, like a map of any country of the world, and it shows you everywhere that you've taken a photo. And it's a bit like a heat map. So what'll happen is, when I pull it up of Australia, because I've travelled pretty much through all locations in Australia, and all the coastal stuff, if I bring up a map of Australia, it'll actually bring up every location that I've been in. So it gives you a bit of a sense of how well you've travelled in a specific location, which is really cool. And all you need to do with that is just basically pull up a photo. When you look at a photo, you just bring it up and then you scroll up, and then there's a location-based thing associated with it. So if you look at that, that's a heat map from within Google Photos, and any colour is where I've taken a photo. Yeah. And the redder it is, there's more density, you've taken more photos there, but it's so cool, and that works globally. So it's all the countries you visited. What a great tool. So I'd highly recommend Google Photos. Go and have a bit of a play with it, get it on your phone, get it on your apps, and enjoy the ability to actually find photos when you want them and when you're creating content or whatever else you're doing. Hopefully that was interesting. I love it. I love being able to see what's out there and what makes life a little bit easier, and that's definitely one of those things. Fantastic. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Thanks for listening. As you know, we grow organically. It's really people like yourself that enable us to get the word out. If you like what you hear, please give us a rating, leave a good comment, and share this with your friends. Thank you.